I mean, since your series back in the mid-2000s on Crash Course, how bad do you think this crash is going to be for the average person?
This is the mother of all crashes because the one we're talking about, people say, oh, the crash in 2008, that was actually a sideshow. What we saw there, and people will even say, oh, that was a housing bubble crash. Not quite. The housing bubble was a side bubble. What you really want to do is you want to pull up a debt-to-GDP chart for the United States or for the world. Take a good hard look at it. You will notice that we started accelerating debt to GDP about early 1980, somewhere between 82 and 85, and we never looked back. It's just a straight slope all the way up. We got to debt to GDP of over 200%, then over 220. This I'm talking total credit market debt, not just federal debt, right? Then 280%, past the world record of any country that had ever paid it back, right? It was 260% once in all of history. That was a long time ago. Then we went to 300%, then to 350, then to 370, and here we are. And the Fed seems to say the only way we can get out of this is to get that number to 400, then 450, then 500. I'm calling for this to be the mother of all crashes because that was an unfortunate experiment. We're going to discover that, like all bubbles, you kind of return to from where you started, which means that debts have to go back to no more than 180% of GDP. We'll probably overshoot. So if total credit market debt goes back to 100% of GDP, that means that we would see a number about $40 trillion would have to get wiped out in the U.S. market alone.
People are going to be poor for generations. It's going to be one generation after another will be thrust into poverty in America. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, and this is why you need to understand what the banks have been doing after the G20 meeting of enshrining the bail-in procedures, which were first practiced in Cyprus, right? And why did the Cyprus banks get in trouble? Oh, because they were holding a lot of Greek debt that got written down. The Cyprus banks weren't allowed to offload those into the rest of the taxpayer-funded system in Europe. So they get in trouble, and we saw the bail-in, which saw depositors take a haircut for the first time, where depositors had to pay for the sins of the bank. So here's how banking works. It's a very simple three-stage process. Times are good. Banks record record profits. They pay themselves handsome money. Things get a little dodgy, and they go screaming to the taxpayers for bailouts. Things get really dodgy, and they come after your deposits.